My mom shrugged off my 30th birthday to jet off on a self-indulgent spa retreat, then had the nerve to text, "Don't ever call me again." So I calmly closed every joint bank account, packed my life into 2 suitcases, and relocated clear. Across the country. Finally free from her drama, it was my 30th birthday. I wasn't expecting cake and candles, just a call, maybe dinner, something. Instead, I got silence. Not a single text from my parents. Nothing from my sister. Not even a lazy thumbs up emoji in a group chat. I didn't plan anything grand, just a small gathering in my backyard. My cousin Eric brought ribs, a few friends arrived with drinks. We played cards and had music playing. It was actually quite pleasant, except I kept glancing at my phone like an idiot, waiting. My mom always texted me something, even if it was hours late, but not this time. Eric asked, "Where's your family?" I said, "They must have had other plans." He gave me a look. I ignored it. Later that night, scrolling through Instagram, I discovered what their other plans were. My mom, my sister, and my aunt were all tagged at a vineyard up north. Wine tasting, a spa trip, selfies with captions like "quality time with my girls," posted that afternoon on my birthday. No mention of me. I stared at that photo longer than I care to admit, not because I was shocked. This wasn't out of nowhere. It was just the first time it was so blatant. Every time they needed something, I was right there. My sister needed help with her car insurance. I covered it. Mom said Dad's hours got cut. I paid their phone bill. They were all on my streaming plans. Prime, Netflix, Hulu, you name it. I'd a mile. Even let them use a credit card in my name for emergencies. Turns out the emergency was giving a damn about me. That night, I decided I was done. No speech, no guilt trip, just action. First, I went into every streaming account, signed out, all devices, and changed the passwords. Every one of them. Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Spotify, Amazon Prime. Gone. I checked the login history for each. Yep, all still being used the night of my birthday while I was standing in my backyard, drinking beer with Eric and pretending not to notice my phone was dead quiet. They were watching movies on my dime. Then I checked the credit card. My sister had used it for Postmates twice. My parents had been using it to pay for groceries. That wasn't the deal. I froze the card, then I called the provider and closed it out, paying off the remaining balance out of my own pocket. Expensive? Sure. Worth it? Absolutely. The next day, the texts started rolling in. My sister, "Is Netflix down?" My mom, "Your dad's card isn't working. Can you check it?" I didn't respond. The next one was a little more panicked. Mom again, "We're at the store and the card keeps declining. What's going on?" Then a call from bank fraud alert. They said, "Someone reported unauthorized activity, asked if I'd frozen the account." I said, "Yeah, I did." And, "No, it's not fraud. Just no longer enabling people who only know how to take." Silence on the other end. The bank rep didn't know what to say. For the first time in years, I felt in control. Not angry, just finished. They never saw me as family. Not really. I was a walking ATM they didn't have to thank. But I wasn't finished. This was only step 1. I wanted them to feel the slow unraveling, the discomfort of not having the lifeline they took for granted. They wouldn't learn anything if it all ended in a single cut. No, this was going to be gradual and painful. The real panic didn't start until their phones stopped working. That was when the situation stopped being inconvenient and became unthinkable for them. Because money, they could ignore. A missed birthday, they could justify. But taking away their connection to the world? That got their attention fast. I'd started with the accounts and the credit cards. They noticed, sure, but they still thought it was temporary. They assumed I'd cool off, feel guilty, and give everything back, like I always did. It's what I used to do. Keep the peace, cover the bills, let them pretend we were a normal family. So when their phones died, and I mean died, the meltdown began. I was still the primary account holder. That family plan with 5 lines, all under my name. Gone. I logged in, stripped it down to just my number, and canceled the rest. Done. In 15 minutes. Cheaper for me, devastating for them. My sister contacted me on Facebook using someone's Wi-Fi. She didn't say hello, she jumped right in. "You actually shut off our phones? Are you crazy?" I didn't reply. I just read her message and closed the app. That same night, my mom sent an urgent email. Yes, a real email, like it was 2005. The subject was urgent, call me. In the email, she said they had no way to contact anyone. They couldn't log into anything. They were locked out of important sites. And the part that made me pause, she said they felt abandoned. Abandoned. These are the same people who ignored my birthday while enjoying wine and laughing in matching white bathrobes. And now they were trying to make me feel guilty for not paying their bills anymore. That word stayed in my mind. I remembered how many times I dropped everything to drive my mom to doctor visits, how I paid up front when my dad fell behind on his insurance, how my sister stayed on my couch after every breakup, and I never once questioned it. I kept helping, over and over, and they just acted like it didn't matter. Then they had the guts to say they felt abandoned. That same night, my dad called. I picked up just to hear what he'd say. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't say sorry. He jumped right in. "What the hell is going on, Steven? Why are you acting like—" I said, "I'm not acting anymore, that's what's going on." He told me I was overreacting, that if I had a problem, I should have just spoken up instead of going so extreme. That's when I really understood. They didn't even believe they had done anything wrong. To them, I was the issue. I was too emotional, too sensitive. Missing my birthday and using me like a free bank? That was just normal family stuff to them. They couldn't see the problem, and they weren't going to. So I stopped holding back. I wrote a list of everything I'd been paying for or helping with. Food delivery accounts, rideshare credits, shared online storage, Amazon Family Access, all of it, gone. I shut down every digital thing they used without even thinking where it came from. Then I hit them with the one that hurt the most. I removed them from my Amazon Prime account. No more fast shipping, no more free movies, no more special deals. You'd think I'd set off a fire alarm at a fancy hotel. That's when my Uncle Kyle called. He's one of the only family members who actually earns what he owns. He's old school, doesn't like drama. When I saw his name pop up, I almost ignored it, but I answered. He didn't raise his voice or tell me to fix things, he just said, "I heard what's happening. Your mom's saying you've lost your mind." I asked him what he thought. He paused for a few seconds, then said, "I think you finally drew a line they should have seen coming 10 years ago." That hit me hard. I told him everything, about the birthday, the spa trip, and how they tried to mess with me by reporting the card I closed as fraud. He didn't cut me off. He just listened quietly. Then, he said, "Just be sure you're doing this to wake them up, not to tear them apart." I didn't answer right away, because I wasn't totally sure myself. I didn't want revenge, not exactly. I wanted them to get it. I wanted them to know what it feels like to be used, ignored, and then expected to keep giving. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized maybe they were never going to get it. Maybe this wasn't about waking them up. Maybe it was about finally waking myself up. The next week was quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet. The way things get right before a storm hits. I figured they were regrouping, trying to come up with a strategy to guilt me into reversing everything. That's how it always worked before. A mix of silence, fake concern, and eventually some half-hearted apology, just to make sure the money kept flowing. But this time it was different. I didn't respond. I didn't flinch. I let them sit in it. Then came the knock on my door. It was my sister. I hadn't seen her in person in months. She stood there in gym clothes, no makeup, holding her dead phone in one hand and a Starbucks cup in the other, like she couldn't decide if she was here to fight or negotiate. She said, "Wait, can we talk?" I didn't say anything, just held the door open and walked back inside. She sat down, looked around like she was waiting for backup, then asked if I'd had my little moment and was ready to fix things. That was the word she used, moment, like a tantrum. I told her nothing was getting fixed, not anymore. She rolled her eyes and said, "Mom was worried sick, and Dad, I had to borrow a neighbor's phone to call his office. They were stressed, confused, and didn't understand why I was burning everything down over one day." I just stared at her. That's when I realized the gap between how they saw things and how I saw things was wider than I thought. I asked her if she really believed this was all about a missed birthday. She didn't answer, just kept talking about how I'd blindsided everyone and cut them off. So I listed it out. Years of paying their bills, letting them live off me digitally, financially, emotionally, never being thanked, never being invited to anything that didn't involve me doing something for them. And the one day that wasn't about them, just one, they deliberately left me out, not by accident, by choice. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she said something that really stuck. She said, "Well, you never asked for anything." Like, that was the excuse. I said, "Yeah, that's what made it easier to forget me, right?" She didn't have an answer for that. She left soon after. No screaming, no crying, just silence again, but a different kind. Heavier. 2 days later, my mom emailed, again. This time it wasn't frantic. It was weirdly calm. She wrote that she was disappointed in the way I chose to handle things, that I should have come to them like an adult, that cutting them off made me selfish. The word felt like acid in my throat, coming from the woman who used my money to book a vineyard trip while pretending I didn't exist. I was selfish. I didn't reply, but it got worse. Apparently, the spa trip they posted about was paid for using points from one of the cards I had added them to 2 years ago. My points. My rewards. They'd racked up thousands in hotel stays and meals using my name. I hadn't even noticed until I went through my account history. They not only ignored me, they celebrated on my dime. And then something in me just shut off. All the bitterness, all the hurt, it stopped feeling sharp. It just went cold. I stopped being angry. I stopped needing them to understand. I just wanted distance. I wanted peace. And that meant no more explanations, no more second chances. I called the credit company and removed them from everything. Then I filed a formal complaint about the misuse of my card and had their charges investigated. The rep said it might escalate. I said, let it. I wasn't playing their game anymore. But they weren't done trying to win. They started calling the rest of the family, not to explain, not to apologize, but to twist it. Within a week, I started getting weird messages from cousins I hadn't talked to in years, things like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but your mom seems really hurt. And maybe just talk to her before this goes too far. One even said, we all make mistakes, man. She's still your mom. That line made me laugh. I didn't bother arguing with any of them. What was the point? They didn't know the whole story. They weren't there when I started. I ended up helping my mom apply for assistance after she trashed her credit. They didn't know about the nights I skipped meals just to pay for a bill my mom forgot. All they saw now was the drama. And since I was the one making noise, they assumed I must be the problem. But my mom knew exactly what she was doing. She cried in front of people who didn't know the truth and let them fight her battles. It was her usual trick. Make me look like the bad guy so she could keep pretending to be the victim. But not everyone believed it. My Aunt Emily, my dad's sister, called me. I've always liked her. She's smart and doesn't hold back. She said, I've heard this story in 10 different ways, and 9 of them sound like lies. What really happened? So I told her, no holding back. The birthday, the credit cards, the streaming accounts, the years I spent helping with money, how they made me feel like a backup option, someone they never actually thought about unless they needed something. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she just said, yeah, that makes sense. I asked her if I was overdoing it. She replied, no, you're just the first person to stop pretending they're not selfish. That hit me hard, because that's exactly what I had been doing. Pretending. Pretending we were close. Pretending I mattered as much as I made them matter. Pretending they didn't use me for convenience. Later that week, I got a call from one of my mom's friends, a woman I hadn't seen since high school. She told me my mom was heartbroken and didn't know how to fix things, that she missed me, that she was scared she had lost me forever. But here's what really bothered me. My mom still hadn't called me herself, not even once. She'd send messages. She'd send other people. She stirred up drama in the family, but she never picked up the phone, swallowed her pride, and said, I was wrong. Because to her, saying that would mean admitting she messed up. Instead, she waited for me to fix things, like I always did. That's when I realized nothing had really changed, so I made a final choice. I wrote one last message, not to fight, just to end it. I wrote, I didn't cut you off over a birthday. I cut you off because for years you've shown me that I only mattered when I was useful. You pushed me out of your lives and I finally believed it. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. I sent that message to my mom, my dad, and my sister. Then I blocked all of them. I thought that would be the end. But people, like them, don't accept silence, not when they've lost their grip. A week after I blocked them, everything went quiet. No texts, no emails, no random calls from people I hadn't heard from in years. Just silence. Then Eric showed up. He had tacos in one hand and a six-pack in the other, like he knew I needed something to keep me from turning him away. We sat on the porch. He didn't talk right away. He just opened a beer and handed me one. Then he said, your mom's been calling everyone. She says she wants to fix things. I looked at him and asked, fix what? He shrugged. She didn't say, just that she wants to talk. She's saying that things had gone too far. I asked him the question that had been stuck in my head. Did she ever admit what she actually did? Eric didn't answer right away. He took another drink, then he said, "No, just that it's gotten out of hand and she wants you to come back around." Come back around. That line stuck in my mind for the rest of the night. It wasn't, "We want to make this right." It wasn't, "We finally understand what we did wrong." It was, "Come back around." Like I was the one who disappeared. Like I'd gotten lost and just needed to return. Return to what? To paying the bills? Keeping quiet? Letting them act like none of it had ever happened? They didn't want to make things better. They just wanted to be in charge again. I didn't say much to Eric. He already understood. He nodded like he expected my answer and left the rest of the tacos behind. But later that night, I saw something that hit me differently. My sister had posted a long Instagram story, not directly about me, but full of vague quotes about betrayal and people forgetting where they came from. She didn't use my name. She didn't have to. Half the comments were mutual friends asking if she was okay. The other half were her friends saying things like, "You've done so much for others, some people just don't appreciate it." I laughed out loud. I had been paying for her digital life for 5 years, and now she was pretending to be the one who got betrayed. 2 days later, I received an email from my mom. The subject said, "Let's work this out." I was about to delete it without reading, but something made me open it. The message inside was short. "I never meant for things to get to this point. I've made errors. I understand that now. But we're still your family. Please come home. Let's talk. Let's sort this out. We love you. We forgive you." That last line, "We forgive you," felt like they believed I was the one who had left them out of a birthday event, like I had taken their money or shut them out of everything they relied on, like I had ruined something and was now being offered forgiveness. There was no real apology, no clear admission of fault, just a soft message that hinted that both sides shared the blame, and that I just needed to return and pick up where we stopped. What they really wanted was for me to make life smooth again, for them. So I didn't write back. Instead, I kept doing what I had already started. I went through every account I had ever helped them with, not just the ones I paid for, but every service where they used my email, my address, or my name. An old rental application, a shared Costco membership, a gym account I had signed them up for 2 years back. I deleted myself from all of it. I cleared every trace of myself from the systems they relied on, every connection that made life easier for them because of me. Gone. Then I received a real letter in the mail. Messy writing, blue pen, 3 full pages. My mom started with the usual, "We miss you, we love you, you're our son." Then came a careful, soft apology. "I'm sorry if you felt pushed aside. That wasn't what we meant," as if it hadn't been on purpose, as if I had simply taken it the wrong way. In the next part, she explained that things had been hard lately, that my dad was struggling to make payments, that my sister's job wasn't steady, and that they needed some help to get back on track. Then came the sentence that said it all. "We're ready to forgive you whenever you're ready to come home." That's when I realized they weren't going to change. Not now. Not ever. They didn't want to make things right. They just wanted the benefits back. They didn't want to admit fault. They just wanted to go back to the way things were, when I made everything easier. I folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope, and threw it away. The next morning, I planned to move out of state. It wasn't a trip, it was a reset, a chance to start again. I had spent years stuck in their world, hoping they would finally treat me like more than just someone useful. But now I understood the truth. They would never change, and I didn't need them to anymore. They could twist the story however they liked. They could say I left, that I became cold, that I made a big deal out of nothing. But I knew what really happened. And soon, they would feel what it means to lose someone. Not because I wanted revenge anymore, but because I didn't care enough to keep explaining it. I left quietly. No big goodbye, no dramatic speech. I packed up, shut off my phone, and drove. 16 hours until the city that drained me was far behind. I didn't tell Eric. I didn't even tell my job until the final day. I just left. It wasn't across the country, just a different state, but it felt like another world. For the first time in years, no one knew where I was. No one expected anything from me. My name wasn't on someone else's bills. I wasn't the fixer, the helper, or the last-minute solution. I was simply Steven. I got hired by a small tech company, rented a modest place, lived a quiet life. I made my own meals, watched what I liked, paid only for my own stuff. At first, the quiet nights felt strange, like something was missing. Then I realized it was this. The waiting. No more vague messages, no more pressure, no more being treated like a credit card with emotions. 3 weeks after I moved, I got a call from a number I didn't know. I let it go to voicemail. It was my sister. She didn't sound angry, just worn out. She said, "I know you probably won't listen to this, but I don't know what else to try. Mom cries almost every day. Dad keeps checking the mail for a letter that's never going to come. Just let us know you're alive." I played the voicemail twice, then I erased it. Now they were asking for calm. Now they wanted to be forgiven. But the one sentence I had always waited for still hadn't come. We were at fault. Instead, every message was centered around them. Their sadness, their confusion, their mistakes. Not once did they speak about their actual actions. How they pushed me aside, relied on me, tossed me aside like I didn't matter, and acted shocked when I finally stopped helping. They ignored the real part. That for years, I didn't even understand who I really was. A few days after that, an email showed up from my father. It had just 2 sentences. "I see you've made up your mind. I accept it. But I want you to know I was wrong. All of us were. You didn't deserve any of that." This one I didn't delete immediately. I didn't answer either. I left it sitting there in my inbox, unopened after that first glance, like something on display, a piece of the apology I had been waiting so long to hear. Too late to fix the past, too late to make anything better. But still, it arrived. And that alone meant something. Most people don't even get that much. After that, everything truly fell silent. No more phone calls, no more emails, no more sudden messages from old contacts. Maybe now they finally saw it. Maybe they understood that love with no respect, no presence, and no effort was never love to begin with. Eventually, Eric figured out where I'd moved. One weekend, he knocked on my door. When I opened it, he smiled and said, "So this is what peace looks like, huh?" I let him inside. We talked. I shared everything that had been on my mind, that I wasn't angry anymore, just done, that I didn't hate them, but I wasn't going back. I couldn't. He nodded slowly. Then he said something I've never forgotten. "They keep saying they lost you, but the truth is, they never really had you. They only had the access." That hurt more than any apology, because it was true. They didn't lose a son or a brother or a nephew. They lost the version of me who tolerated being invisible, being used, being dismissed. And once that version disappeared, there was nothing left for them to keep hold of. Now, every once in a while, I'll get a holiday card in the mail. No sender name, just a short message. "Thinking of you." Signed by either my mom or my dad. I never write back, but I don't throw them away either. I keep them in a drawer. Not because I'm still holding on, but because they remind me how far I've moved forward. Forgiveness doesn't always mean going back. Sometimes it just means walking forward and leaving the weight behind. I didn't destroy the bridge. I just made sure they saw me walk across it, and I never planned to return.